staring at the other person in their eyes. You're not saying a word. And observers, just notice. Total silence and just think. 1, 2, 3, go. I want you to think about what that person might be coming into the building with today. What might they be struggling with? What might have happened to them that they're compartmentalizing to be here today?
The second you started asking questions, Peggy started to just get emotional. So that connection was there, and I don't know if you work with Christy often, but the connection was there even just with the verbal and just with you putting those questions out there. And I knew the second it started, when this thing's over, those two need to hug. Like I was waiting for you to just reach your hands out to each other.
Right? So we're making these connections with kids. If you make these connections with kids, you already know some of that backstory, right? And Peggy, can I now pick on you a little bit?
I prefer it.
Oh, good. Oh, boy. Yes, I can't wait. Okay, I know what we're doing for the next 16 minutes. Okay, so what I want you to think about is you know a little bit about this other person. Okay, so you kind of knew some of that darkness that was maybe hidden there. Maybe not dark, but got some negativity or feelings. Thank you, that's better. So much better. I couldn't find the word. And why did you feel compelled that you had to just reach out and hug her right afterwards?
Because I love her.
Oh, okay. I want you to hold that feeling for a minute. Hold it. Think of that person that challenges you so much. Think of that person. Imagine what it would be like if you felt that way towards them, especially in those moments of them challenging you, especially then. What might happen as a result? Social plasticity is a skill. It's a skill you become proficient in. It's a skill that kids can become proficient in. It's a skill that adults who work in the building, or bus drivers, or, by the way, parents and caregivers, they can become proficient too. And so what happens with social plasticity, it means that we get to rewire that innate response that we have. So your first blank that's there, because I know a lot of you are like, I got to get the blank. Let me get the blank. It says innate, right? Our innate response. We want to rewire your innate response. Not to change your assumptions. Your brain's going to do that. But we want you to catch that. We want you to notice, oh, that assumption's coming in. And again, we workshop that. We dive right into how to do that. But that's the goal of this skill. When you become proficient in that, when you practice this, and you do it reflexively, oh my gosh, and if we're all doing that together, this is the space to do it. Give that wait time, that uncomfortable wait time. Because that kid who's sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I kind of want to raise my hand. The minute I shut that down, I shut the kid down. So we got to give some wait time, right? Anyone else want to jump in here, though, and comment? Go ahead.
Well, I know we teach life skills, so of course it's a wonderful thing to be able to teach. When we talk about this, I would compare it to like empathy and how well that helps a classroom like come together.
Great, don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with empathy. It's too big. It's like, what does that even mean? And here's the second problem that we're having in education is we're teaching those skills to who? Who are we teaching those skills to? Who's being a part of the advisory classes or those classes? Kids. Where are the adults? Why aren't we equipping adults? So we've got these kids who we're telling them, be resilient. Right? Get better, be better. And then we're sending those kids right back to those same toxic environments with burned out teachers and stressed out parents. And we're expecting those kids to function well. Doesn't make sense to me. All right? So that's why we've got to have a different approach. We've got to keep things so simple. Every single thing that's already working in your building. And we just infuse these right into your daily practice. And everybody's doing it like an immersive cultural experience, like learning a language. You can't teach a kid a language, then send them home when they don't speak it at all and expect them to be fluent. It's not going to work. And that's why we're failing in our system with mental health.
You might get to this, but I know I struggle with, I'm like extreme empath, like an ENFJ, like extreme.
Yeah.
And so I feel, and I've seen an image of this you might have in your presentation where like you take all their stuff in all day and then hard to, like, I don't know how to overflow that before I get to my own family, cause it just weighs on me at night when I get home, and I know that I have to let it go, but
Yeah.
that's, you have any suggestions
I
on
do.
how to do that?
I do. It's a problem. I get it. I get it. What I want you to do is flip to the next skill. We won't dive into that, but go ahead and flip through. It's called relationship reciprocity. All right? So it's on page 9. I needed relationship reciprocity. I needed to know my limits. And what relationship reciprocity, we don't have time here, but again, we workshop these things, right? We need to learn these because when you're an empath, you take on everybody else's feelings because you care so much. But you can't function well. It's all about how are we going to function well doing these things. We want to all just show up and function well, get the best out of life. We're all just trying to get through life and have a good time, right? That's it. Simple. We got to simplify. So when relationship reciprocity is not about how much we give and take in a relationship, not at all. In fact, we look at how much am I willing to give and how much am I willing to take. And there's a tool. We keep things super simple. That's how we're going to get better at that stuff. Make sense? Does that answer your question? Does that make sense? Yeah. We have so much more power that we're not even tapping into. We've got it. We just feel so powerless sometimes. Yeah. All of these are meant to use K through 12. And actually, I go speak at colleges. I go to NKU and I speak to their teachers coming into education. Why aren't we starting there? Right? Why aren't we equipping them with better mental health skills? But go back to that person who's challenging you a lot. All right? So catch that unfair judgment you're probably making, maybe. It's up to you to decide. And then I want you to replace that assumption that you've made. So this is the tool that you will use to practice social plasticity and get better at it, proficient. What might have I done differently?
You wouldn't have been mad at her.
I wouldn't have been ever mad at her. Ever. Ever. And you imagine the guilt that all these years later, that's where this is coming from. The guilt I feel that I couldn't do that for her. Talk about these strains in our system at the very beginning. Remember that? We're going to have those strains. Those are not going to go away. You know that. So don't fight against them. Work within yourself. That's where the answer is. That's where the real power is.